In this video, we're going to be talking about all the time reductions that were announced for the Town Hall 16 update, as well as how to maximize those time reductions, where to use your magic items, and literally everything you would want to know about the new Town Hall 16 update and its time reductions. I'm also going to be talking about a few things that I don't think anybody else is talking about, so make sure you stay tuned for that. Let's talk first about the time reductions themselves and how much time has been reduced. Now, you guys know that I expected time reductions in the Town Hall 16 prep video, but I did not expect the amount of time reductions we actually got. I'm not going to go over every single detail, but the picture in the back actually summarizes the time reductions that we got for both builder time and research time. Overall, we got 212 days and 4 hours reduced in builder time and 291 days and 16 hours reduced in research time, which is absolutely insane. But what about the hero and pet time reductions, and what can you expect in that department? Now, to be honest, some of these reductions are literally the most significant. Let's start with the king and the queen first. Both have received time reductions of 45 days and 6 hours. This means that even though we get 5 new levels for each hero at Town Hall 16, the king and the queen are getting a shorter time to max. The RC, however, does not follow this trend because it only gets a reduction of 21 days and 8 hours. Despite this, we'll still take the 3 weeks off. However, the most significant hero reduction is the Grand Warden, which gets a whopping 70 days of reduction. And this is a really good update because a lot of players delay the Grand Warden early. Even with the 5 new levels that we're getting for the Grand Warden at Town Hall 16, his total time to max will come down by a month, so this is absolutely insane. With all of that being said though, I literally think the best reductions will come in terms of the pets. In terms of the time reduction, it's actually not that great. We only get 3.5 days off of each Town Hall 14 pet, not even the Town Hall 15 ones, so we get a total time reduction of 14 days. However, anybody that's trying to max their pets right now will tell you that the bigger issue with the pets is the cost. It costs a lot of dark elixir, and if you're trying to max your heroes at the same time, it is extremely difficult. But this has been tackled in a major way though, because the total cost to max out all the pets in Clash of Clans has been reduced by 2.865 million dark elixir, with the largest reduction coming from the poison lizard, which gets 435,000 dark elixir removed from its levels. This is by far one of my favorite reductions and parts of the update, because whether or not you've started the grind for pets, the pet grind has always been problematic and a major reason for player burnout. Moving on from the hero and the pet reductions though, how does the total time to max change in Clash of Clans? Now, this is impossible to say at the moment because we don't have an API update or any exact numbers on how long the buildings and the research will take. However, if we take a look at this image courtesy of Clash Ninja, we can see that the build time for Town Hall 15 has been reduced to around 230 days and the research time to around 450 days. Now, we can expect the entirety of Town Hall 16 to be longer than that of Town Hall 15 naturally, but most of the updates for Town Hall 16 hasn't even come out yet. Only half of them have been coming out in the beginning. So I think early on in Town Hall 16, the time to max is not going to change much at all. Okay, now that we've understood the scope of the update and the time reductions, let's go ahead and talk about how we can maximize these time reductions, especially when it comes to our magic item usage. Now, most of you know that prior to this update, I would tell players to only use their magic items on upgrades that are 14 days or longer, but naturally, because everything has literally gotten reduced in this update, that number is going to change. Now, I've gone through all of the time reductions that we've seen in this update, and you guys can see that anything that was 14 days long before has a new build time of 12 days. However, I want you guys to understand the rationale behind using magic items for these updates that are now going to be 12 or 13 days long. If you guys take a look at the time that is going to take for each single upgrade, you can see that there's a huge jump when defenses or other buildings get to about 12 or 13 days. This is why this is the level that we want to use the magic items on. It's because we want to avoid that extra time, that huge jump in time, and this is where we get the best value out of our magic items. So here's the long and short of the magic item usage. 12 days or longer, you are good to use your magic items. Remember that this is 12 days before the gold pass reductions. What about troops in the lab though? Does this rule hold true for those troops going through the research in the lab? And the answer is yes. I'm showing you an example in the background right now, but we usually get that jump when we get to the 12 to 13 day mark. So we're going to follow the same rule and use our books of fighting, books of spells, hammer of fighting, and use all of those things when we have upgrades that are longer than 12 days long. Now let's go ahead and talk about players with the gold pass, because those players are going to get magic items every single month. And the rushers among you are probably wondering where we should go to stop and catch up on our upgrades if we have the gold pass. Before the update, the level was Town Hall 14 because that's where we would get these 14-day upgrades where we get the best magic item usage. And even though we got massive timer reductions, this level is actually going to stay the same. At Town Hall 14 is where we start to get those longer upgrades, those 12 to 13-day upgrades, and we want to be able to use our magic items on those upgrades so that we get the best value out of them. For those of you that don't have the gold pass, still spend your time doing your upgrades and focus on your heroes. You guys should still be happy though, because we get tons of reductions everywhere else. Okay, now time for the part of the video where I give you information that I can almost guarantee that nobody else is talking about. I'm going to be discussing hidden and indirect changes that we're going to be receiving as a result of these time reductions. One of these is the fact that the builder potion has indirectly been buffed by these time reductions. How is that even possible? I'm going to break that down. Before, we used to use the builder potions and measure its value against things like hammers and books of building, right? Well, think about it like this. Now the longest upgrades in the game are maximum of 16 days. They're a lot shorter. However, the builder potions are still doing the same amount of work that they did even before the update. So comparatively, they're actually a lot stronger than they were before. Let me explain in another way just to make it a little bit easier. Currently, a hammer of building is 120 metals and can get you a maximum value of about 20 days. At that price, you can get 4 builder potions, which can give you a max of 9.3 days, and this makes the hammer of building 2.15 times more valuable. However, after the coming update, the hammer of building can only give you a maximum of 16 days, whereas the builder potion will still give you 9.3 days. Now this makes the hammer of building 1.72 times more valuable. And just to clarify, this doesn't mean hammers and books are worse, because they still do the same amount of damage to the time to max as they did before. However, this does mean that builder potions are just better. But don't get it twisted though, this doesn't mean spend your CWL medals and your money and stuff buying builder potions. I still wouldn't do that. It just means use the ones that you have to the maximum capability. Now you might be wondering, does the same thing hold true for the research potion? And this does hold true 100%. The math works out the same way, so I'm not going to redo the whole thing. However, there is another magic item that indirectly got a buff, and it is the community favorite magic item, the Book of Heroes. Using the same reasoning as before, the Book of Heroes can now give you 8 days, which is a full half of what the Book of Building can give you, which is 16 days. This makes the decision of buying a Book of Heroes for 500 gems at the trader shop even more of a no-brainer than before. Now I'm going to be coming out with a bunch of videos to help you maximize these time reductions and upgrade a lot faster, so make sure you subscribe for that. But until those videos come out, I would recommend that a lot of lower level Town Hall players just keep doing what you're doing. Keep upgrading all of your things and maybe get started on the Grand Warden, which ironically, if you delayed the Grand Warden until now, you've actually saved yourself a bit of time. This is also a really interesting benefit of rushing. If you wait, you can actually benefit from the time reductions that come from the lower Town Hall levels, because you're going to be catching up on all of those upgrades you didn't do before. With all of that being said though, you can't use these time reductions properly if you're not using your builders properly. And that's why you need to watch this video right here, because it's going to tell you how to use your builders with maximum efficiency and upgrade a lot faster in Clash of Clans.